Hi again, grade 5. In this video, we're going to talk about bacteria and archaea. These are going to be the last two kingdoms we discuss. As you know, they're very similar, and when you guys did your research, many of you were calling them archaea bacteria because they are very similar to bacteria, yet there is a major difference between these two kingdoms. So as you guys already know, archaea, of course, and bacteria, they're unicelled microscopic kingdoms. So they're also known as microorganisms because these organisms can only be seen with a microscope. Some curious facts about archaea. Archaea, they look and act in a similar way to bacteria. So in early stages of discovery, when they were first discovered, scientists thought that archaea were a new type of weird bacteria. So initially, they thought that they were just a bacteria. However, the major difference is that archaea can live in extreme conditions, like extreme weather conditions, like very hot or very cold places, and in extreme saltiness. And we can never find bacteria in these places. We never find bacteria in very cold or very hot places or in really salty water. However, archaea they are able to survive in these environments. Okay, initially archaea were discovered in some hot springs, so in some really hot water, and of course we never have bacteria living there. They discovered them in Yellowstone National Park, and they discovered a type of archaea called the sulfolobus. And so this is a hot spring. They live in a hot spring in Yellowstone National Park. And so this is the major difference between archaea and bacteria. Now, kingdom bacteria. Of course, they're also unicelled microorganisms. These organisms are found everywhere. I mean, absolutely anywhere, okay? They can be found in soil, in water, and on living things, on your hands, on your skin, on any surface, okay? But they just can't survive in extreme environments like the archaea can. Okay, bacteria are believed to have been living on Earth for more than 3.5 billion years. The kingdom has more individuals in it than all other kingdoms combined. So that's why in our book they're telling us that there are more bacteria on Earth than any other living thing. So if you combine all the other living things in all of the 5 kingdoms, the bacteria would still be more. A handful of dirt contains trillions of bacteria. That's why we really have to keep our hands clean and our body really clean. And just to note that viruses are not living organisms. They don't have their own kingdom. We don't consider them in science as living organisms because they're not able to do what living organisms need to do. They can't eat on their own, they can't reproduce on their own. The only way they can do this is if they enter the body of another living organism, okay? So that's why viruses are not considered as living organisms. However, bacteria are. They can survive and reproduce all on their own. Now, as they tell you in the book that bacteria, they are classified or grouped according to their shape and size, okay? We really have 3 different shapes of bacteria. The coccobacteria are the round bacteria. The bacilli bacteria are kind of a rod or like a cylinder-shaped bacteria. And we have the spiral bacteria. So on Earth, there's 3 main different shapes of bacteria: the cocci, the bacilli, and the spiral bacteria. Now, when people hear the word bacteria, they often think of harmful living organisms, but not all bacteria are harmful. We actually have good bacteria. Even living inside of our digestive system, there's good bacteria. They're called probiotics, and they're really, really good, and they help in digestion. Of course, there's bad bacteria that can cause many deadly diseases, and many dangerous diseases are caused by bacteria. So why is yogurt good to eat? Because it's full of these good bacteria, the probiotics, which are very helpful for your digestive system. And so that's why in their book they're telling you that bacteria can cause diseases and pollute lakes and streams, but they can also be helpful. So never forget that some bacteria are good, okay? Bacteria are used to make foods such as yogurt and cheese. So in many types of cheese and yogurt, we do have these good bacteria, the probiotics. And of course, we even have bacteria in our bodies that help us digest food, okay? So that's very important to know. So here you can see a lake that's been polluted by dangerous types of bacteria. Of course, we never swim in contaminated water or drink from contaminated water because we can get really, really sick. This is just a small list of 7 diseases, dangerous diseases that are caused by bacteria. We have flesh-eating disease, staph infection, meningitis, pneumonia, tuberculosis, cholera, dysentery. These are just some of the diseases that are caused by the dangerous, harmful bacteria.
Let's talk about germs. Yay! There are several types of germs, and 2 of the main ones are bacteria and viruses. These 2 germs are very, very different. Both can make you sick, but some of them can actually make you healthy. Bacteria are living cells. They eat, move around, reproduce, and do a lot of things other larger living things do, like you. Viruses, on the other hand, are tiny pieces of genetic code that literally hack cells and reprogram them to make more viruses. So you see, these are very different types of germs. Some of the bacteria actually help us. For example, a lot of bacteria that live in our intestines help us break down the foods that we eat into stuff that we can digest. These bacteria are our friendly food digesting army. But there are also bad bacteria that can make us sick. They can infect our throats and make it hurt, or they can infect our lungs and make us cough. When you have a bacterial infection, your doctor might prescribe you an antibiotic. Antibiotic literally means bacteria killer. These bacteria killers kill every kind of bacteria, and the stronger the antibiotic, the more the bacteria die. You should take an antibiotic if a doctor says you have an infection from the bad bacteria, aka a bacterial infection. But if you don't have a bacterial infection and you take antibiotics anyway, that's not good. Now, there are 2 problems with taking too many antibiotics. The first problem is that you may start killing the good bacteria that help you stay healthy. The second problem is that the bad bacteria start to learn how to resist antibiotics. Even from just 1 course of antibiotics, this can lead to the birth of a super bacteria in your body that can hurt you and resist all antibiotics. That would not be good. So here's what you need to keep in mind. Antibiotics are for killing bad bacteria. Only take them when you have a bad bacterial infection. A common cold is not a bacterial infection. It's a viral infection. Antibiotics do nothing to help you get better when you have a cold. Same with the flu. A flu is caused by the influenza virus, not bacteria. The best that you can do when you have a viral infection is to treat the symptoms and wait for your own body's immune system to fend off the viruses. So next time you feel like you have a cold and feel like you really need to do something to heal yourself, remember that antibiotics don't cure viral illnesses. And in fact, taking too many antibiotics can be bad for you in the short term and put all of mankind in danger of a superbug in the long term. Don't endanger humanity. Before taking antibiotics, ask your doctor about your other treatment options. To learn more, visit us at carolinashealthcare.org/germs.
So you guys just watched a video about the differences between a virus and a bacteria, and you got to see that there are some good bacteria and we never take antibiotics unless the doctor says we have a bacterial infection, a really bad bacterial infection, or else we will just be making the problem worse. So when you have a cold or a flu, you don't need to be taking antibiotics because the cold and flu are caused by viruses which cannot be killed with antibiotics. So keep this in mind. So for your assignment, it's on page 185. You have to complete this table. I gave you some of the things you need to fill in and the steps you need to follow. I'm going to attach it on EduFlag. So in number 1, you just have to fill in. There's 3 missing kingdoms in the kingdoms column. So you're going to look at the examples and they will help you know the name of the kingdom that you should be writing in the first column. For the second column, you're going to have to be filling in the description, properties we learned about each kingdom. So I gave you the 6 descriptions. In number 2, I said copy a description for each kingdom into the second column. All you have to do is just choose a description and fill it into the second column next to each kingdom. And in number 3, they gave you some examples like the canary, the pine tree, and the bread mold. And I gave you some more examples that you're going to have to be adding next to each kingdom. I gave you yeast, paramecium, sulfolobus, cyanobacteria, mushrooms, eagle, wheat, and algae. So fill in the examples next to the proper kingdom in the third column, okay? And be sure to read pages 184 and 185 really well. And on page 244, we have number 18 to solve. There's an elephant, an insect, and a bird. These organisms are very different, of course, yet they are all classified in the same group, okay? As you know, they're all animals. So you're going to identify 2 characteristics that allow them to be grouped together, okay? Of course, and you have to say what group they belong to and what are the 2 common characteristics that they all have that allowed scientists to group them all in the same group. Okay, thank you and good luck.